And now, 1160 AM KBDT proudly presents Life Solutions, coaching, counseling, naturopathic medicine, insights for successful living, and getting better with Ann Beal.
We are here to help you prepare for Valentine's Day coming up, so you're not just surviving, but you're thriving.
We don't want to just survive. We want to thrive, and we want to give you some helpful tips, right? Some good ideas for having a wonderful Valentine's Day.
Yes, and here we are at that time of year again. It comes, sneaks on most people.
Yeah, it can be scary for some people too.
There
Expectations
are people,
are in the air,
Expectations. I have Dr. Jim Slaughter here with me today, and I'm Ann Beal. We actually have talked to so many people who are not quite prepared for Valentine's Day yet. Every now and then we meet somebody that planned a year ago, or we meet somebody that planned a month ago, which is a month ago. Great. You still have time. You have a week. So it's next Friday.
That's right.
Next Friday. So Valentine's Day gifts and cards are all over stores. We stopped to pick up some flowers to put on the desk for people. If you want to see the video, you can go.
These are real.
You can see it live
red roses. Okay.
on Facebook at Getting Better with Ann Beal. We will put the video on YouTube later today.
Yep.
And so you can go there. But so we got our flowers. And they're everywhere. We even saw them at QT. They're everywhere. So people are wondering whether it's for your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wives, they're all looking to find the right way to celebrate and show their love. So no matter how much they feel love inside, some people just aren't that romantic, and they don't know how to show their feelings in a way that'll really impress their loved ones or make them feel like they really love them. So there is no shame in looking for help when it comes to romance.
Absolutely.
Okay? And we all have so much to learn and love. In fact, when Jim and I, we put stuff together, and then we were also researching other people's ideas, and we again found some other ways, some different ways of expressing love.
Or saying it in a way that we hadn't thought about saying it. And there are so many different ways to say I love you and to have people feel loved by us. And sometimes you don't really think about that. I still think the most important way to prepare for Valentine's Day is to be kind and sweet and caring and loving throughout the year. And I don't want to be cheesy about it, but I think that's really true. If a person feels loved by us on a regular basis, it makes Valentine's Day a lot easier, I think.
It does make it easier. And we were asking questions like, if the person you love does all these things for you and talks nice to you and does all this stuff and hangs out with you, but they don't love you, how does it feel? Is that enough for you? And so we thought a lot about that as far as how to make people feel loved by you and how important that is. And rather it be, because you do feel love for people, but are you very good at showing it, and how showing it in a way that they get it, that they get that you love them. So we've done shows on things like that before in the 5 love languages. You can go back to the Getting Better shows that we've done in the past. And last year on Valentine's, we spent quite a bit of time on that. This year, we really just want to give you a lot of tips and ideas. Now, I do want to kind of do a shout out for people who don't have a romantic love, in their life
presently at the time, right?
Because I actually had a horrible family tragedy that I went through, and for 6 years, it was a very tough time for Valentine's. It was tough, and just those special times in the holidays when people get so romantic. But let me tell you what I would do for Valentine's Day. I wanted to show myself love so that I felt loved. And you have to understand that expecting other people to show you love, if that's the only way you feel love, that's a hard way to go.
Yeah, when we depend on other people for almost anything, we have to be very careful not to prolong that or not to make it a part of what happens all the time. We're dependent on somebody to make us feel loved. There's going to come a time when they don't do that.
Yeah. Yes, and it's hard because there are times that people just have trouble in their own life and they go through things and they can't do that for you. So it's very important that you learn ways to show yourself that you love yourself, and that it's not hokey. It actually, if you feel loved, then you can share love to others. That verse says, you love others as you love yourself. Do unto others as you do to yourself. If you love yourself well, you can love others well. If you do not love yourself well, the love you show other people is very unhealthy. It's an unhealthy love. And so one of the things that, I had many things, but I would actually buy myself a piece of jewelry every year. I'd actually buy it from James Avery. I'd buy me a piece of jewelry on Valentine's, And the night before Valentine's, or a couple of days before, but usually maybe even the night before, I'd go out and buy roses for myself. Now, I wouldn't get red for myself. I don't know. I just didn't do that. I got other colors that I liked, and I put them on the table. And for breakfast for the kids, I would actually do heart-shaped pancakes. And so things like that. So I wanted them to know love and make Valentine's a tradition, right? And so we did that every year. And and I'd also do things for my parents. So that was really cool.
Sure.
But definitely, whether you buy yourself a peach story, buy yourself roses, make yourself a massage day or a spa day. You know, the guys can go out with the guys or go out to a movie. What else would you suggest, Jim? Do something for yourself.
Well, I like, I would do something maybe athletic. I mean, I might go hike or climb or something like that, would be, I mean, I like being outside. And if I were going to get out and do something on my own for myself, it would be something like that. I might go to an antique mall and get me myself an antique. I love antiques. And so, what we're talking about here are things that we normally call healthy pleasures. I would choose something that I like doing. And if I'm going to buy myself, well, maybe we need to talk about gifts because that's a whole different thing in its own. I'd buy me something that wouldn't hurt my pocketbook too much, but that I really would like. For me, it might be a book, or it might be something, like a shirt or something like that. I don't know.
Buying a new outfit. I'm trying to think of all those things that I did, and they helped immensely. And it's weird because my kids were like, "Why are you doing that?" When I would tell them, they're like, "Oh yeah." So they actually on Valentine's knew that I was going to do that, and they embraced that. I think that buying gifts, we're going to give you some tips on that when you're doing it for other people. But I also know that for me, one of the things that I did not do was spend Valentine's alone. I did not do that. I spent it with people. And I just made that a plan that I would be with people that loved me well, people that I cared about, people that did well. But if I couldn't, then I'd make plans like go to my favorite movie, do things like that.
Right.
And so I would have a good day no matter what. Now, if you do have a loved one in your life, okay, we're going to get some really good ideas for you, things you might not have thought of. Now, you were talking about gifts. So if we talk about giving gifts, because there are people that are different about that, like my love language on gifts is 0. So that was kind of weird when we took that test, the love language test. And you can do that at 5lovelanguages.com. That is how you feel loved. My gifts came up 0, and my whole family went, "Oh, that makes total sense," right? I don't feel loved if you give me a gift. I mean, it would have to be a pretty incredible gift of some kind. But for me, it's time and words of affirmation. So when you take that test, you can see that, and have your loved one take it, because it really helps you to know how they feel loved.
Right. No, it really does. And I was going to say, we kid around about guys at the 11th and a half hour rushing around, grabbing some old wilted flowers and a beat up box of chocolates to take home.
Well, and you know what? Early on, that worked. For me, it worked great. I mean, I love chocolate, but there was, it was nice. I mean, that's, I think when you're younger, that's kind of what you expect. But the longer you're with somebody, that doesn't work so much.
Well, and so that's a good point to make. And so we realize that as time goes by, we really are looking more for something more deeply meaningful, something that means something to me, something that is me, and it's not that flowers are not a good thing. It's not that chocolate isn't a good thing. They can be a really good thing, but we're looking for something more, right?
Yes.
I think. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today.
Now, if you took me on a chocolate excursion where they had all these cool chocolate factory places or something, that would be cool, right? But,
okay, I'm writing that down. I'm making a mental note of that.
I just got that idea. So I've had people that went to the Hershey's chocolate factory and things like that, but they do have these real decadent chocolate places. So I think that the longer you're together, showing other things. So for gifts, I know what you were saying was you really felt like shopping together is a good idea.
Right. And that I think is a very good idea. And for people who care about gifts, now for someone, for people who don't particularly care about gifts, then that would be an exercise in futility probably, but a waste of time. But so what we're talking about here is if there is something that you are hoping to get as a gift from your lover for Valentine's Day, he can't read your mind. She can't read your mind. And so it is a good thing. It could be a very good thing to consider a shopping trip together where we shop together and you show me, hey, I really like that. And you can say, well, Good. I really like that. And so, you can decide on something together for one another as you shop. And that way, nobody's disappointed. There, and
Shopping
yet,
together.
yeah, there can
Yes.
still be a nice surprise about it, and real can be some joy over a nice gift.
Well, and there are people that you've given gifts to, and it seems like no matter what you give them, they're kind of like, they take it back, or it's not exactly what they want. And so it doesn't feel good. And especially if that happens, doing it together or even asking them ahead of time,
Right.
And I actually take in my phone, and when I am with people like you or my kids, and they're making, they'll see something they like and they don't get it, I'll make a note in my phone throughout the year. So I know. And that's why even at Christmas, they'll get things. They'll be like, oh my gosh, wow. How in the world did you remember that? Because I put it in my phone. And so
That's a good
keeping
point,
up with
yeah.
things like that. So on the last minute, even asking somebody at the last minute, they might not really have thought it through well, but asking is better than just guessing. Now, if you
Right.
know them really well and you know what they like, now what you don't want to do is, if you know what they want, not getting them anything that they really want, that can be hard. And but still, just a card that really feels, and writing in there. If you get a card, you want to write personal stuff in there.
Right.
And
if you can't write personal things and poignant things, then look something up and write
or
that.
look something up.
Steal it from
Some
somebody
poem.
else and write it in the
Yes.
card. Okay.
Yeah. But you do want to write something in there. I know that people that even get a card from their parent, and it just says, the card, and then they sign it. They're like, those are not cards that people save. And there are people that save cards that really mean a lot to them. Now, you can always do funny or whatever, but you want to
Put some of yourself on the card, in the
some of
card
yourself.
there.
That's a good
That's
way to
very
say it.
important.
Put some
very
of
important.
yourself in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the shopping. I know for you.
So
as a
that's one of
guy,
our ideas.
That's one of our ideas. Go together or ask,
Mhm.
right? Or keep up with it, something they've mentioned throughout the year, right? And
Yep.
now, how about a time away together? Because people are really busy now. And if you do better together away, then, take a day trip. One of our daughters went down to a cabin. And other people, we had people that stayed in I think they said those are made from Shark Tank, the little pod things that they have down in Tyler.
Containers.
In Tyler or
and-
somewhere.
yeah.
You can find them online. You can stay there, and they have a hot tub and they have grills, and it's just this little, it is cool looking. I thought it was cool looking. I called it a pod, but I think they do call them cabins. But there's cabins in Weatherford. There's places that you can go even just for a night, have a nice, solid, secluded time together. Other people can do a staycation. We've had people do staycations because they really don't get much time at home. They're
And it's
always
called
going.
a staycation because they stay at home, right?
They either stay at home or they get in a hotel for a day and stay there.
Yeah.
It just, it depends on what you enjoy. But so you plan out a staycation, which means you plan the fun food, movies, whatever, books, whatever. But if you're reading a book, you do it together. Just having that good time together if you don't get that.
Right. Well, and that brings up another point. The main thing of Valentine's Day is enjoying one another. It's enjoying one another in maybe in numerous different ways. And part of that is time together, focused attention, where you touch the other person, you get eye contact with them, and you spend that focused attention with them like that.
Yes. Now, remember, for Valentine's, one of the most important things is the way you talk to somebody. You want to use words that are positive, kind, loving, caring, any of those good words. You've really got to be careful with critical words on Valentine's Day.
One of the things that I've learned in my studies and preparing to help people who come to us, for issues and stuff, is that you should never underestimate the power of positive talk and affirmation.
And never underestimate the value that a person puts on Valentine's Day. So all the antes are up. Everything's higher. So like if you're going to ask a girl out, my suggestion is don't ask her out for Valentine's Day because the stakes are so high. It's either going to blow it or make it, right? You don't want something where the stakes are so high. So these are just suggestions. We have lots of tips, but definitely number one, be kind. Stay right here. Yeah. Be kind.
to one another.
Hi, Linda. Oh my gosh, Linda. Hi. And Anita, thanks for being here. Hey, guys. Okay.
All right. So
Be
we have
kind.
some folks with us.
Be
today.
kind.
Yeah.
Yes, don't be critical. Okay. So for you have some things you're going to go through.
I definitely do. And
Now, you're a hopeless romantic.
I don't hate to say it. I kind of am. There's a romantic element to me. And
Yes.
I'm glad. So there. Yeah. So I try to think of, romantic things to say and do, but on the other hand, you got to balance it out a little bit, because you say that kind of stuff and do that kind of stuff and try to be this romantic thing all the time, person all the time. People, it doesn't seem real.
If you want to face, that's what you should do. Pull it this way, because you're turning towards me a lot.
I know.
Which is fine. I want to hear all your great
So
ideas. We don't want to miss them.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and when we're talking about the Valentine faux pas, what not to do, right? Being critical at all is really not a good thing on Valentine's.
No. I mean, if you have criticism, you just put it away. Put it away and do something else. Do something positive. Yeah.
Yes. And also, there are people who they give up on Valentine's Day, or it hasn't worked out however many years ago in their past, so they say they just don't even do it. They don't even do Valentine's Day.
Right.
It takes a lot of work to not do Valentine's Day when it's surrounding you.
Well, it's all over the place, It's every time that you look around you as you drive and everything, there are certain reminders that it's coming up, radio, television, everything, And in your own mind, you're not going to be able to forget that the 14th of February is Valentine's Day. Okay?
Yes, and everybody at work and everywhere you go. And so, I think that's people who just haven't made it work.
Or they failed at it in their own opinion. I've failed at this. I don't know how to do this. I'm no good at romance. I'm no good at this. I'm no good at that. Last time I gave a gift, it wasn't appreciated, whatever, or the last time I got something, it was a dud. No. And so, people have felt some degree of, they had high expectations. The expectations weren't fulfilled. And so they would rather almost not try, so that we default to usually, going out to eat and going to a movie.
Or not doing anything.
Yeah, or not
Just
doing anything.
let's just
sit at home and watch TV.
So do you guys have plans for Valentine's Day, Anita and Linda? Do you guys have plans? If you do, if you have ideas, okay, that would be great. Or just let us know what you're doing. That would be great if you are on there. Okay.
Because we want to share something we're going to do on an alternate day.
Oh yeah, we should say that when we get back.
Yeah, we want to say that for sure.
We kind of draw it out. We kind of draw everything out. Like birthdays are like a month. Valentine's is like a week.
One of the things is you and I know each other so well that we kind of have gotten to the place where we really sort of know what would be a hit and what wouldn't be, and what direction to move for things like gifts and activities and all kinds of things like that.
Yes.
But we did talk about, actually we resurrected some ideas that we've used in our past that were very neat, like the vision board. We wanted to talk about that.
We're going to talk about that. Okay, cool. Thanks for reminding me about that.
Yeah.
We've never done it together, though.
No, we haven't ever done it together. We've only done it independently and then showed each other, and everything. So we're thinking, I want to do it together this year.
Yeah. And when are we doing that? What day are we doing that? You can do that on Valentine's Day.
Oh, well, we talked about that.
That's a Friday.
And there are certain places that
to admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
And now here's more Getting Better with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Welcome back. We were having fun over the break. Jim, he's always telling jokes. So even though he's a doctor, they still could be funny. Okay. We were actually talking about people who have decided not to do Valentine's Day. So our tips here are for Valentine's Day, all the things that you can do. But there are people who it hasn't gone very well in the past. It just hasn't worked out. It didn't go well. So they kind of hate Valentine's Day. Or they just say, we're not going to do it. And I can have a couple say that. And usually one of them just is on board because the other one doesn't like it or whatever. But really, you can make it work. I mean, it's kind of hard to not do Valentine's Day because, it's everywhere. You walk in a store, people are talking about it at work, what they're going to do. Every now and then you do meet somebody that says, I don't do Valentine's Day. And,
Once in a while.
And that just means that they don't know how to do it where they really enjoy it. Instead, they don't enjoy it.
Well,
Right.
and they've had a bad experience with it. They
Yeah.
feel like they failed. It doesn't work. The
Right.
gift I bought, they didn't appreciate, or whatever it may be, you know. Or it could also be that only weeks before, the
Things didn't
very,
work out.
very significant other in my life walked away.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know. I probably
I would-
shouldn't have even brought that up.
No, don't put that out there. Right? Like,
Okay.
yeah. So what we want to encourage you is if you're not going to, you don't have to do it big,
Right.
but it's so easy to just be kind to people, right? Like, so once that's a day to show love to people you love. Okay. You can make it a romance day, which was a lot of people do. And so you want to be sweet and kind and caring. I mean, that's basically should be loving.
So you're talking about actually planning
To
to
be
be
loving.
affirming,
Yes.
and caring and
Yes.
kind,
Mhm.
doing things that the other person would appreciate,
Mhm.
saying things that would make the other person feel good about themselves, and things like that.
Yes. So the reason I say plan is you could put like you on my mirror one day. I woke up and you had, I can't remember what you said. You wrote it with lipstick or
I'll
something.
tell you what I
did
put
you-
on there. I took a magic marker, a wide one, and I wrote, I think it was in red, "You are one hot chick."
That's what you said. Yes. What did you write it in?
Red magic marker.
But it came off. So no,
Oh,
use
yeah, you
permanent.
can wipe
No, use
that off.
permanent.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how you did it. So however you do that, I mean, so waking up to that on Valentine's Day, honestly, if you did nothing else, I mean, I don't want you to not do anything else, but if you did nothing else, that made my day. I took a picture and put it on Facebook. Like, look at what my husband
She
did.
blasted that everywhere. I
No,
thought,
I
man,
just put it on
I had
Facebook.
a grand
And
slam
everybody
on
was
that
like,
one.
and that way they're like, oh, I'm going to show that to my husband. Right. And so it's a cool idea, anything like that. So even if you put, so my brother, when he got married, I got in the truck with him one day and there were these yellow Post-it notes everywhere. And they had all these cute little sayings on them.
Mhm.
Okay. That's an idea too.
Yeah, leave Post-it notes around.
Say
Yeah.
positive things, tell them good things. And so people who tend to have a harder time with that, they tend to, be, have a critical eye. They're problem solvers. This is like a personality type. You have a little harder time thinking of positive things to say instead of seeing flaws.
Well, and
So-
one of the ways that you can do this is to think about the things that you like best about your wife. If you're a guy, your partner, just think about what you like best, and you begin to say, "Wow, she is so good at that." If it wasn't for her, I'd be dead in the water if it came to that. When it came to that, and so, or whatever it is that we appreciate about the other person, think about that, and that's the topic of affirmation statements.
Well, and you can plan to go out together.
Yes,
and
you can.
and be able to talk about things like that. One of the things that we talked about was, well, you mentioned it. We're going to do it. We've not done it before. Was a vision board, like my kind of what I see in my future and what I want, and what you want in your future, and what you see in your future. or what
Right.
you'd
And
like.
we spent some time when we were going through coaches training about this years ago. A vision board is a way of seeing what has not yet happened, but perceiving it as reality. Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little weird for those that haven't broached that subject, but it really, really is incredible, because often what we think about comes about. And so you put, what we did was we got some, what do you call that board that we use for that stuff?
Poster board kind of thing, but it was thicker. What
Yeah,
is that
thicker
stuff
than
called?
poster board.
Get it
And
at
so
the office store.
it has a stiffness to it. And I can't remember what it's called, but so what we would do is get out a bunch of magazines, and we would cut pictures out from the magazine that represented things that we wanted to do in the future, things that we wanted to have in the future. It could be a house, could be a boat, whatever it is that you might like. Think big, it could be a trip to Jamaica. I don't know, whatever. And we would paste that on this board. And then, so what Ann and I are going to do, we are going to do it together, not independently. And we're going to get some magazines, and we're going to start cutting out and pasting things on there that how we want to see ourselves as a couple in the future.
And we say magazines because we get so tired of being on the phone or on the computer, Pinterest, things like that. We kind of get rid of technology over the Valentine's time. We get rid of all of it, and we go back to when things were so much better. Phone board. Thank you, Linda. Thank you,
Yes, phone board.
Facebook.
There you go.
Phone board.
Been too long since we've had little kids in school,
Yeah,
right?
phone board. And so being able to do that together and cut out the things we like, we find new things about each other. And it always blows me away. 'Cause I don't know.
Absolutely. Deal.
Let me turn
Good
the
deal.
air on. Are you hot?
No, I'm
Or is it
good.
okay?
I mean, if you
All
are,
right,
you
that
can turn it on.
coffee. Can I have some of your drink?
It's our
Hey.
drink, but yes.
Is it our drink?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. That's so great. Phone board. Yeah. Now you on the what else do you have? You told me things that you were going to talk about, and they were good. They were so good, and I don't
Well,
want to
we
steal
did talk
your
about
thunder.
choosing an alternate day if we can't do the
Oh,
14th,
Okay,
and
you
working
just
up
have
a
to-
sweat together, I think can be,
We
I mean,
are-
that
Oh, my
idea.
mom's on there. Hi, Mom.
When we, a vision for your future together. That's what we just talked about, vision board. I don't know if we done everything for that?
Yeah, a vision for your future together.
Mhm.
That's a really good way to put it.
Right.
So my mom's on there. All my loved ones. on
Shirley,
there.
hi.
Way to go. Yes.
Good to hear from you.
So why don't you change to celebrate different day to celebrate? So we got to talk about that movie.
Oh yeah,
gotta
let's
do
don't
that.
forget that. Let's do that as soon as we
February
get
18th.
back.
Yes. So some people already went. Thank you, Mom. Love you too. I'm gonna call you when I get done with the show. I'm gonna call you when I get done with the show. Okay. Some people we know already went out for Valentine's Day because they're so.
Well, because they work on the 14th,
Yes.
and that's a Friday coming up,
Mhm.
and they work on the 14th, so that wouldn't work for them. So they chose a different day when they could go away, and they stayed in those small cabins, and it was wonderful.
Well, we talked about the things we've done, hiking together, working out together.
Yes, which reminds me of the kinds of things that mean the most to you. I asked you one time what you wanted for our anniversary, and you said, thought a minute, you said, I want you to hike with me around Grapevine Lake.
Yeah, I did say that.
So
You
that's
were
what
like,
we did in street clothes.
Yeah, why did we do this? We went out, and then we went there.
We went
did.
out after we went there. I know that because
Oh,
we ended up
after.
hot and sweaty at a really nice steak restaurant, had wine and
Oh, that was
steak
a
dinner
wonderful steak
in
restaurant.
Grapevine. We just
Yes,
wandered
it was
in, said,
gorgeous
"Did we
steak.
get a table?" And they
It's very
said,
special.
"Yes,
great
come in."
Yes, I know. Well, you asked.
I know. Well, no, but see, yeah, and so I think it was that more than anything.
Anna. Hi, Leanna.
Hey, Leanna,
Oh my goodness.
It-
Okay.
it was that honestly more than anything else that really, maybe the thing about the car too, but that told me what means the most to you. It's
Definitely.
and so you're a little bit of a renegade
Oh,
when
I
it
thought you were
comes to
gonna say,
things
"You're a
like
little
that. No, I wouldn't put it that way.
No. Okay.
But, yeah.
We got some cool people on there today. Okay. So people who travel, some people travel and go off somewhere.
Right. And we
know,
read
they-
about one couple that they travel a lot. In
Lot.
fact, they travel internationally. And the memorable, maybe it was the last Valentine's Day they celebrated, it was in a city in Japan enjoying Japanese hot tub experiences, together. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool if you can make it over there. Not everybody can do that. And so we also talked about day trips and going to towns and
Right,
cities
that's fun.
nearby. If there are things nearby you that you can do that with.
Oh, scavenger hunt. We got to talk about scavenger. No, that might very well.
Well, that's okay. Yeah, that can be fun.
And I want to do the mental health side. See what I did? Did you see me do that?
No, I just now spotted that Rose.
I want to do the mental health side, the mental rewards, benefits when you love someone.
What is the Del Walmsley Radio Show?
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show Monday through Friday from 11 until noon.
It takes a whole lot more effort to get something started in your life than it does to keep it moving.
Del Walmsley has moved thousands closer to a great life. The Del Walmsley Radio Show is now on 1160 AM KBDT, Monday through Friday from 11 until noon. Listen and move toward your great life today.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
If you'd like to get better, call Ann right now. 214-810-8255. 214-810-TALK. Now more with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
It is the return of NASCAR this weekend, and you can go for Valentine's.
What a great time for it.
You could.
right?
So don't miss the Busch Clash. The Bush Clash. Say that like 3 times. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup's best drivers from 2019. They kick off a Speed Weeks tomorrow at 1 p.m. only on, and it'll be here on this station if you don't go.
1160 a.m. Dallas, KBDT.
News, talk, sports.
Yeah.
That's the sports. Yeah. So you can do that for Valentine's. You can go now. You don't have to wait. We do tend to draw out Valentine's because, if Valentine's, it changes the date all the time. So every year it falls on a different day, and that can be hard if it's during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Friday night, it hadn't been on Friday night in a while. Friday, doesn't have to be night.
Yeah,
Friday.
it doesn't have to be night, and it's perfect. It's a little. I mean, you're already thinking about the weekend, right?
Yes.
And so some people are already geared that direction.
Yes.
If you have Friday off, that's even. It's better.
It's better.
So, yeah.
It's better if you have Friday off. Did you get that? Take Friday off. So it is better. And NASCAR is one of the things. We actually don't want to forget to encourage you. Our show last week with Timothy Mahoney.
Yes.
The producer, director, Patterns of Evidence, the Red Sea Miracle, that is out on February 18th. That's the showing. It's the only showing right now. And It'll be out that day. And it is incredible. They take all the archaeological evidence. They have discovered so many new things over the last 30 years that people don't know about. And we've even talked about the discovery of Noah's Ark, things like that. People just don't know because, you don't hear, honestly, we don't hear anything on the news anymore except the same thing over and over. It's like the same song. And so he takes the archaeological evidence and matches it with the biblical evidence. So it's pretty cool.
And one of the neat things about Tim, he talks to people pro and con. I mean, he talks to people who are almost look like enemies of the scriptures, and he talks to them about their views. He talks to people who are pro,
and he goes out to those archaeological sites,
right? And the thing, one thing here, and that is, that the people who don't want to believe the Bible, who are against the biblical evidence, have said for really a long time, decades and decades, that Goshen, that land where the Egyptians kept the people of Israel, never even existed. But and they looked and hadn't found anything. But now they know that it was a city below what's there now.
You're telling them. That was the previous.
That's the other
movies.
one.
Yes.
It's called Avarice, and there is a city there. And so the most amazing thing to me, I keep going on. I shouldn't.
Yeah, we could go on and on. We saw the movie last year when it came out. Patterns of Evidence. The Moses controversy.
Right.
And then the one before that, the year before, was Patterns of Evidence, Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really good. They just get better and better and better. But you can go to the patternsofevidence.com, I think, thinkingmanfilms.com. It's really incredible. So Timothy Mahoney sends us any new archaeological evidence. He sends us updates. And so you can join his Thinking Man Films, and he will send you anytime they find something new archaeologically. You get an update on it. So it is just so cool, all the things that we've learned over the last year. Right.
And I just want to say, if you're a thinking Christian and you care about things like this, you cannot miss this film.
Or I can say this, if you're not sure about it, there's lots of people who, they kind of grew up one way or another, but they just don't know any evidence out there. All we hear on the news is there's nothing is nothing. And that's why a lot of things have been covered up. But if you just, go to see the archaeological evidence, and they do all sides. Okay. So he always, in Patterns of Evidence, he follows all the patterns of evidence. So he will, honestly, the next film is
Miracles, I think. Right?
The Mount Sinai.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So there are 6 different locations of what they say Mount Sinai is. And so he looks at the evidence. So the Red Sea Miracle, he looked at different places they say they could have crossed. And so he looks at all the evidence. So it's not just one thing. It's truly more of an archaeological documentary kind of thing. Really fun. So Valentine's, you could do that. That's February 18th.
Right. So we're going to stretch our Valentine's Day celebration or enjoyment or whatever out into the 18th.
We bought our tickets.
And make Timothy's documentary a part of that.
Yeah, you can buy your tickets. You have to go pick your seats now if you want to catch it early. And so we already did that. And even if you go to his website, you can find those, or you can go to your theater of your choice and on the 18th, pick it out and go ahead and buy it if you want. So that's an idea too.
Yep. That's a good idea. Now, another thing, if we continue to talk about ideas and everything, one couple decided that what they would do is they would spend their Valentine's Day sweating together.
Sweating together.
Not like you're thinking, but
No.
this would be working out together. And so
Working
they
out
were
together.
preparing, it sounded like, for a marathon or something like that. And so they would work out together because both of them were very athletic. They liked that. And so you
Is
don't.
that the one they spent 6 hours that day working out?
Yeah. They spent 6 hours working out that day. And that's something that they enjoyed. And it brought them closer together. And let me just say, that involves choosing something to do together that actually makes you feel more connected. Okay.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about one on the way in that is making, or I thought it
You
was.
did. You said, us doing the keto diet together, we're doing the keto zone diet. If you've not heard of that, because there's keto, which is kind of hard and hard to really understand. So Dr. Colbert, who we have lots of his books and uses his stuff all the time, he came out with an easier version, and we feel like it's a kind of a better version called the keto zone diet. And we have I can't get over how much we've lost.
Yeah. And let me say the point
We
for
just
me
keep losing.
was that, this is something that I normally don't have to lose just a whole lot of
No,
weight,
he
but it's
doesn't.
10 or 15 pounds or something
Right.
like that, that's significant. But the thing is, I decided when you started reading up on the keto diet and the keto zone diet and you wanted to do that, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this with you.
Well, because it's
All right?
so healthy, and it talks about giving you more energy, your focus, you're more clear, your head's clear, you don't have that fatigue, you sleep better. I mean, we went through all the things about it, and amazing.
Right. And we're seeing enormous success with it, and in many different ways that we don't want to talk about necessarily
Well,
today.
and it's an eating plan. So you've gotten to the point you almost lost all your weight. So your carbs are different than mine. But he's been very encouraging, and he sticks with it because he wants me to stick with it, I think.
But I'm with you in
You are
this,
with
and that's
me.
the thing. We are
You are with
together
me,
in
yeah,
this,
yeah.
and they run to celebrate life, and
Right.
we do different things too to celebrate life. And
We have a couple that did a mud run together. What they didn't know, though, is they had that shock thing at the end.
yeah,
And they didn't know about that. So make sure yours don't have that electrical shock thing. They didn't like that, but they had a lot of fun. Now, we had a couple that did a scavenger hunt together. If you're in a town that has a lot of little suburbs, right? They did the most romantic thing. And I think they Googled that, the most romantic thing in each little town. And so they put that together and did and I think one of them prepared it for the other one. Right.
yeah,
And so they did that. So that was a really cool idea.
right. And I think that is a kind of a unique idea. I think it'd be a lot of fun just to spend the day, doing the scavenger hunt. That's a creative thing to do.
Yeah, you lead them from place to place.
Mhm.
And I know for you, one time I saw on the Food Network in Dallas, when the restaurant Smoke first came out, they had it on Food Network, and they had the two best breakfasts. They were brunch. That these were the two best things that they had, and they just loved it. And it was like avocado, vanilla pancake things, and then they had some kind of so those two, I surprised him and him over there, and we had that brunch. Remember that?
Yeah,
That was really
great.
nice.
That was
So
fun.
those are things that you can do. I know that you can Google like the best Valentine's Day on a budget, the best Valentine's Day dinners, you can also Google like the best places that are having Valentine's dinners or Valentine's things in your area. And so you can find things like that so that you guys can enjoy things together. Now, you had some ideas.
I don't know how many more ideas I had.
Well, you had that
than-
alternating.
We did talk about that on the way
Yes.
in, that if it's hard to come up with something, sometimes it's good to try alternating Valentine's days. One year, you would plan something.
Yes.
The next year, I would plan something. And so it takes some of the hurry up out of it,
Yeah.
and so that can be real helpful.
Well, and it's the idea is for you to plan what you think they would want, right? You're centered on
Right,
Valentine's Day. You're planning it for the other person. And we do that on our dates.
Yeah.
He'll plan one, I'll plan one. And it's interesting because then we come up with different things. And I can tell you when we ask people, what is the most fun thing you've done lately? And you had a guy say, I can't even remember the last time I had fun.
Guys tell me that all the
I
time.
know, it's
when we're
crazy.
doing this.
And often I'll ask people and they'll go dinner and a movie. What? Okay, there's a lot more to that. I mean, liking dinner and movies is fine, but there's so much more you can do. And so Valentine's is next Friday.
Did you tell, have we said on the air what we did, the kind of last creative thing that we did together?
No, we haven't said it. Go ahead.
Axe throwing.
Yes, axe throwing.
We went axe throwing.
We went axe throwing. We weren't sure what it was going to be like. We had a lot of fun.
Our daughter gave us a gift coupon for 2 to go axe throwing,
Yes, she did.
and we decided to go ahead and do it. And it was one of the most interesting things I've ever done. It was fun. There was this really fun element about it. It takes a little bit of expertise to develop to do it well, but it was and it's an athletic thing.
Yeah, she found it on Groupon. So Groupon has great ideas. Okay, you could just look through it depending on your personality, pick something. But she got it on Groupon. I never would have thought of that. But we went, and so it took a little bit to figure it out. You get an hour. Jim did fantastic. He was using the big axe. They gave me the little one. I think it's more like a hatchet, but it's a little bigger than that. But boy, so I could do well with that. He could do well with his, but he kept beating me. So then I thought, hey, Jim, we should switch axes. And so I gave him the small one. He could not do it. It was awesome. I beat him.
I don't think I made it. I mean, I could hit the target, but I could never make the axe stick in there with the little one.
It would stick because he threw it too hard or something. I don't know. Now, I couldn't have continued with that big axe. I think we did 2 games, and I won both. He had killed me for like 45 minutes. And then I won both. I was too tired. We had to stop. So it's not something I could have kept doing.
So there are creative things around to do.
Yeah.
Some people like to shoot. Go shooting. Go target shooting.
That's on Groupon. If you've never tried it, like they provide the gun and the bullets and everything that you would need. But just getting out of your comfort zone and doing something together different. Right. But what if they stay home? What if they don't have time?
Okay. There's, the truth is you can do the staycation at home.
Yes, you
where
can.
You can do different kinds of things.
And you can plan, if you just want to plan, okay, guys, my suggestion is plan. If you do it spur of the moment, this show is all about getting better in every area of your life. Right. And we want you to get better this Valentine's. And if you don't prepare, you're not going to get better. If you think you're just going to wing it and, maybe it'll go better, right? We want you to plan it. Now, how much planning has to go into it? It doesn't have to be that much, but at least the day before. Right.
And it doesn't have to be a really, really big deal. I mean, you and I can be really content and happy enjoying each other with some cheese and some meats and some wine and watching the Disney Channel or something.
Oh,
I mean,
we just
really
got the Disney Channel. We did not have that because we were hearing about The Mandalorian, and we watched that last night. It was good. You fell asleep during it. Oh, my gosh.
Not because it wasn't a good program. It was because I was so wiped out. But no, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. And
so finding something that you can do, so planning it, but also planning it so it's an enjoyable time together. And then it can be great. And if you have the day, like we have the day, we always block that day. And so we will try to do something for breakfast or brunch, and then maybe go do something, a little athletic or fun outside. It just depends on the weather. That's the thing. And I'm pretty sure Friday is supposed to be pretty here.
Okay,
and
good.
So there are people who travel. They'll travel somewhere. I mean, they'll get on a plane and go somewhere. And that's exciting too. And they try to pick a different place every Valentine's to go. So I'm not real crazy about being on a plane with the coronavirus going around. So I don't really want to do that right now. I'm like, okay, forget that. But, doing something out of your comfort zone and fun together. Right.
Well, and I think there's sometimes this is where preparation comes in. Sometimes we have to work at finding something that we really both enjoy together. I mean, because you and I are very different in what we might choose to go do, right?
Yes.
And a lot of the things though are very similar and very much the same and all. But we are very careful to make sure that we plan to do something we would both just have a great time doing.
Yeah, but we talk about it. And we
talk about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Now you can also, and we've had people do this, and they continue doing this every year. They write an annual letter, a Valentine's letter to each other. And it's just telling them, how thankful they are for them or what they've done for them or what they're excited about in the future, anything like that. So they make it a Valentine's tradition to do that annual letter to each other.
Yes.
And so then they keep them usually. And I've had kids find them later. Even, when their parents are older, we had a client, her mom passed away, and she found these letters between her dad and mom. And it was so cool for her to see those. And so making it memorable. And that's why I say if you do a card put something memorable in there, even if you have to look it up, right? Like if it's a poem or anything, Google a nice saying. I can put it. You can Google anything. What's a romantic saying? Google. What's a romantic? Can I put inside my Valentine's card? And you will find it.
Oh, you'll find many.
Yeah.
Just pick one you like.
Yes. To say, even if you can't create it, somebody else can for you. So stay right here. More tips. Who's on here? Who was that? Oh, Ray. Oh, goodness.
Which Ray?
Good topic. I like the letter idea. Yes, I like the letter idea. We should do that. We've talked about it, but we've not done it. We should do it. We can't do everything.
We do cards, and we usually write a personal note at the bottom of the card.
Yeah.
But we could do letters, or either one. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So the mental health stuff I didn't talk about yet. Anything else?
Well, someone had a thing about the love that the Lord has for us and that we
Yes.
have for the Lord.
Okay.
There may be a spiritual element in there somewhere, even in the morning early, even reading scripture, praying, journaling, those kinds of things
Yes,
can kind
our
of
first one.
get your day off to a
Yes.
really great start,
So in Revelation, when they say you've lost your first love, that's what they mean, right? Revelation 2.
I think it's Ephesians, actually.
Microphone's cracking me up. Okay. Christy. It's already tightened, but it keeps falling. Just keep tightening it. If I was JD, I could do it.
Yeah,
right.
actually, there's Revelation 3, but it probably talks about the church in Ephesus, right? One?
Okay, I could quarrel with you. I'll show you after. Revelation 3, I was thinking like 2:18 or something, but I could be wrong.
Okay, no.
I could actually be wrong.
Really?
Yeah, it's just
Oh
so
my
few
gosh.
and far between.
Your friends are laughing at you on the
I
screen
know,
over
no,
here.
I've been like, what? Okay. All right. So, yes.
I think
Lord-
if you mentioned the mental health thing, and we talked even about the chemical angle. If we want to mention that, feel good chemicals are poured into our bloodstream and go throughout our bodies when we feel loved.
Even by
And
family. But
yeah.
definitely by romance. I mean, romance is even a pain.
Well, then there are different
Inhibitor.
chemicals
Really
that get
strange.
involved in some of that too.
Right.
So yeah, and we
It is weird that it's a physical pain inhibitor. That even takes away physical pain a lot.
right. It does. It does because you have kind of natural painkillers flow through our bodies when we feel loved, and especially if we are romantically excited or engaged or something.
is
So
that
you have
dopamine? Is
dopamine,
it
and you have
dopamine that does it?
serotonin, you have all kinds of opioids that are natural that go
Oxytocin.
throughout.
Not Oxycontin. Just clarifying.
Oxytocin, right?
Oxytocin.
Yeah,
Oxytocin.
yeah,
That's
and
the painkiller in it. That's why they tried to copy it. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
so yeah, when those are the body's natural anesthetics, and so that's what happens. We get kind of this natural high, in a sense, even like a runner's high, because that's chemical
runner's high.
as well.
I
So-
do not want to forget to mention
Sanjeev.
Sanjeev Javia, right? For next week. Don't let me forget that.
Okay, what do you want to do as soon as we get back on the air? You want to
wanna do
mention Sanjeev?
Well, okay, I can do that.
You don't want to forget Sanjeev
Do I need to
Javia.
do the intro again, or is that okay? The intro? I don't have to do it? Okay, cool. Cool. I don't hear the music. Got 20 seconds. Okay. I definitely think talk about Sanjeev, we'll get that. And then the mental side of how good it is to feel loved,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that'd be
And
great.
then, that might be. How about more ideas? We got more ideas we could take.
I've got to admit, it's getting better, a little better all the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
I want to let you know about this show next week. We're having Sanjeev Javia.
Mhm.
He is actually the lead formulator, chemist, designer for health products. He is the lead formulator for
Yeah.
longevity, but he's also a CEO of his own company called Pros Performance Products.
Yeah, PROZE.
Yes, and so he
Mhm.
is amazing with how products are formulated, we have asked him to help us understand more about the CBD hemp marijuana thing, to really know CBD, why it helps the body the way it does. But more than that, like how you know what to buy, because there's so many crazy things out there and it's just okay. It's the trending thing. But I've asked him since he formulates them,
right,
and he has his own products and he's gone through so he has had tests, like Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods, all these people that are using his products.
right.
And so Phil Mickelson, you've heard about the pain, since his pain, and Tiger Woods' pain, but also with golf, it's you got to stay calm and things like that. So he definitely knows. And so as far as formulating these products, what he has to do, and he also really gets rid of a lot of the myths.
Right.
And so he's going to be on next week. And I just want to let you know that that's the 15th, the day after Valentine's Day.
And Sanjeev does it so clearly. This is the clearest, simplest explanation and definition of CBD and what it does, how it works, how to buy it, all kinds of things that I've ever heard. And we've read a lot.
Oh my gosh. And we've had a couple shows on it, but we never had somebody that actually formulates it and creates it and knows everything about it.
Yeah, this guy does the chemistry. I mean, he knows what he's doing. Okay.
So I'm excited about him being on. But regardless of whether you're in a relationship or you're single, this Valentine's, there are some serious benefits to feeling the love and spreading the love beyond giving like flowers or chocolates or whatever. I mean, those are fine. But really, by showing people love and receiving love, people will say it's that positive emotion. That positive emotion has so many tangible benefits that you can express in so many ways. And I don't mean just to your romantic partner, but to family members, your friends, your pets. I can hear my daughter out there going, don't forget the pets, and even a stranger. Just be in love with many things. And it'd be great if you could do it all year long.
Sure.
So there are some things we just want you to realize. Don't expect Valentine's Day to make up for the whole year if you guys have been having trouble. Okay? It's not even possible that can happen. So just because you buy them these great things or have this great time, that's great. You're moving towards balance in your relationship. But if the damage has taken you all the way over here, then it's going to take a lot of those kinds of times to move you back over there. And you can't just say, well, I don't do that anymore. That was back then. You got to work your way back. And it is possible after damage. You just go piece by piece by piece to work your way back. And the other thing I did, I said, probably not a good time to ask someone out on a date because the stakes are so high, because we all expect, or the anxiety of it, it can make or break it. And you don't want that to happen. Right. Otherwise, normally it wouldn't.
Also, I think that the thing that people promote often, or is in the back of their minds, is more the physical end of Valentine's Day and how it might end up, and sensual, sexual kinds of things. Yeah. But, what we've been talking about really is something that promotes what we would call true intimacy, which really is not necessarily a sexual thing, which is a byproduct of true intimacy, which is our hearts connecting, our souls connecting at deeper levels. And that almost always comes out of dialogue of some kind and communication in different ways like that.
Yes, having that emotional intimacy.
Yep.
So there's a book called False Intimacy, and it explains what real intimacy is versus false intimacy. It's really good to know. I know, like Amy Poehler in that, I can't remember what movie, she had a Galentine's Day, and it was getting all her friends, she actually was female friends on that movie, together to really thank them for being in her life, and they got movies and wine, had a really good time. And so you can do things like that. It's just really important that if you have a loving, supportive network, and you get that through being more positive and kind to others, right? It mitigates psychological stress. It decreases stress in your life. It's crazy how it's a stress manager. And the more support you have, the much more you can deal with all the stressors of life.
Yeah, Christy's telling us our time's almost out. I think we need another hour. Can you give us another hour to do this?
Well, and it's weird too, because it takes away pain. There's like oxytocin. And again, I said not Oxycontin, oxytocin, and it truly is a painkiller.
And it shoots all kinds of chemicals into our bloodstream and throughout our body that make us feel good.
That's right. And that's what we want to have you feel this Valentine. So we encourage you, get better, make this Valentine's better. We'll see you right back here next week with Sanjeev Davia our lead formulator, and he's going to tell us all about CBD and hemp and marijuana, just how to use CBD for your body. Take care. Have a
See ya.
good week, and enjoy Valentine's.